Good morning, everyone. It's very bright up here and very cold, but we're going to power through. So this is the auditing, monitoring, quality assurance section of the presentation. Some objectives we want to get through today. We want to provide an overview of the EA audit program, define quality control, quality assurance, monitoring, and auditing, detail the central monitoring process, detail EA's audit approach, provide insight on how EA audits, provide insight on what happens post-audit, corrective action plans, provide educational resources. Here's our team. We're led by Dr. Bruce G. Antonio. He's our Executive Officer and Audit Committee Chair. I'm joined here to my left with Emily Jenner, one of our lead auditors, and Caleb Brody, one of our senior lead auditors. In the audience, we have Linda Arns, we have Aliki Martin, two of our lead auditors, and we have Carrie Mahone, one of our CRAs from the Philadelphia office. All right, defining terms. I think we get this question a lot. What are the differences between these things? So I thought I'd put together a slide to kind of highlight that. So quality control is an overarching term utilized to span interconnected, network-wide quality control procedures within EA. QC includes annual institutional performance evals, continuous monitoring of data performance, various central review activity, and educational functions. Think what we're doing right now, right? Quality assurance is the mechanism in which research clinical trials are conducted, recorded, and reported in accordance with the protocol, SOPs, GCPs, and applicable regulatory requirements. It's a continuous process that can be conducted on-site, remotely, or remotely, and involves oversight of all patients on a trial. Audit. The major objective of an audit is to verify study data that could impact the interpretation of primary study endpoints, which is done through independent verification of the study with source documents. And then monitoring is the act of overseeing the progress of a clinical trial. All clinical research carries with it an obligation to ensure optimal therapy for patients and optimal conduct of the research, such as the patient's participation is so that the patient's participation is meaningful. Monitoring can be done in person and/or remotely. QA is any method or procedure for collecting, processing, or analyzing study data that is aimed at maintaining or enhancing the reliability and validity. Goals of such a program include to prevent problems by protecting against poor adherence to protocols or poor data quality, be it the selection of responsible investigators and staff, detecting problems by implementing routine monitoring procedures, taking appropriate action in a timely and effective manner, serve as a valuable educational vehicle, and the local staff should use these results of the audit to identify operational areas where improvements can be made. It's an educational activity overall. What is an audit? A systemic and independent examination of trial-related activities and documents. It determines whether the evaluated trial-related activities were conducted, data is recorded, analyzed, and accurately reported according to the protocol, sponsors SOPs, GCPs, and the applicable regulatory requirements of the NCI, managed by the Clinical Trial Management Branch. It's a snapshot in time. Who determines the process for auditing? So any EA-led study is under the guise of CTEP NCI, and CTMB selects that audit program. So any protocol any credit that you give to ECOG-ACRIN is eligible to be audited by ECOG. All right, so CTEP, what they do is they review the scheduling of all of our audits. They review all of our audit reports and findings. That's the preliminary report, which is 24 hours after an audit, and then the final report, which comes later. They assess the adequacy and acceptability of any corrective and preventative plan at the site level, and they also monitor GCPs. So EA audits are all conducted under those guidelines. And right there's the link that will have all the current guidelines. It's April 10, 2023. These slides will be circulated, so don't feel like you need to write that down. All right, what is monitoring? So the CTMB audit guidelines define monitoring as the act of overseeing the progress of a clinical trial. The objective of monitoring is to identify data entry errors between source records and case report forms, identifying missing data in source records or CRFs, provide assurance that study documentation exists, assess the familiarity of the study staff with the protocol and required procedures, and assess compliance with the protocol. Centralized monitoring is a remote evaluation carried out by the sponsor at a location other than the site at which the clinical investigation is being conducted. Central monitoring process can provide many of the capabilities of on-site monitoring. All right, so just a quick table to kind of show the difference between these two activities. Monitoring is protocol specific, while auditing is site specific. Monitoring is limited in scope in the review of essential data points, where auditing is more comprehensive and includes multiple categorical reviews of regulatory, pharmacy, patient case review. Monitoring is continuous and part of a defined monitoring plan, usually selecting cases that are part of the primary endpoint or high value, where auditing is a systemic and independent examination of clinical trial program at an institution overall. Monitoring is designed to provide immediate feedback. That's why monitors usually come after the first enrollment, where audit is designed to inform site performance, and how we audit is usually after you open your site within 18 months, and then there's a routine of every 36 months unless you have a poor audit, we come back sooner. Monitoring is designed to provide immediate feedback, where auditing is designed to inform site performance. That's why our capital plans are due multiple months after an audit, gives the site an opportunity to kind of internally review and correct where the areas, the areas you need to correct in. All right, we talked about site corrective plans. Let's move on to monitoring. Okay, so currently all FDA registrations that open under EA require on-site or remote monitoring. That's done by Alpha Oncology. The list of studies include EA 5142, EA 8143, and EA 9181. For central monitoring, we have 2 active studies that include central monitoring, EA 1151 and EA 2187. Can a case be selected for monitoring auditing? The short answer is yes. So you may be contacted by EA Monitor to perform a monitoring visit to ensure site compliance with the study protocol. These are independent acts by independent departments, so monitoring can happen at different times as audit. So yes, the answer to your question is yes there. All right. Let's dive a little bit into central monitoring. So this schematic here shows the sort of the 4 steps of central monitoring. We'll get into each of these individually. So when a patient case is enrolled, you enter the data into RAVE, and that begins the process. So once RAVE data has been entered for a particular patient identified for central monitoring review, an alert shows up in RAVE, indicating that CM documents are due to be uploaded into the source document portal. So here's a CM alert form in RAVE. It's typically under enrollments. And it'll tell you why that is a central monitoring case. There could be multiple reasons for central monitoring. An early case, for example, or a case that has a primary endpoint question in there, and that form will show you why that case is being selected. All right. Okay, so there are 2, sorry, this is difficult to see. There are 2 potential CM notifications. So the CM alert within RAVE is one area, and the other area is in a bi-monthly status email. For the 2 protocols we have active, we actually send an email alert to all sites when we select new cases. There isn't a notification system between RAVE and email, so I know it's a little difficult to know when that happens. So we do send a follow-up email to ensure you guys are actively aware of what's happening. All right, the use of the source document portal for document submission. So CM submission requires 2 functions within the source document portal: uploading documents and redacting personal identifiable information. Please note that neither of these functions may be completed in RAVE. RAVE is used for data entry, but TM must be satisfied through the source document portal. Both of these are within the CTSU umbrella. All right. So use source document portal to address CM issues. Documents submitted for CM review can be rejected. There is a triage period. So after you have a CM alert, you have 2 weeks to upload things. Then the triage process has 2 weeks to review those documents. And in that 2 weeks, we do reject documents typically for 2 reasons. One, there's PHI that's not redacted, or you uploaded the incorrect document for what the form was asking for. So once it's rejected, it is returned to you and it shows up as still outstanding. And at that point, you have to address the query within the system and upload either a re-redacted document or a correct document for that submission. And I think